Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cybersecurity Matters. My name is Christian, and with me virtually is my co-host, Mr. Dominic Vogel. Dominic, who do we have as our virtual guest in today's episode?
This week we're talking to the awesome Kylie Francis, who is based in Florida, of all places, nice place to be this time of year. And she is a social media strategist for CEOs and organizations of all sizes right across North America. So I think we're going to have a real fun conversation with her.
Sounds good. So we will bring Kylie on, and we will be right back.
Kylie, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with Christian and I today. We're really looking forward to it.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Kylie, really good to have you.
Yeah. This is going to be a really interesting dynamic because normally Christian and I are right next to each other. So, the whole coronavirus is really going to test our mental capacity here for how truly connected we are. And I know that the first thing that Christian and I wanted to chat with you about was to just learn more about your story and your narrative. It's so compelling for anyone who's connected with you on LinkedIn, but for our viewers who don't know you, maybe you could tell us just a little bit of sort of your journey and what's brought you to today.
Yeah, so it's pretty long, and I know we have a limited amount of time, but it's funny. I actually was on my NCAA collegiate swim team training trip in Jupiter, Florida, when I was first presented with Pinterest, which is a visual search engine. And I know a lot of people see it as, the website just for girls and whatever. So I want you guys to keep an open mind as I'm telling you guys my story. So when I was on training trip, one of my best friends, Becky, she, showed me Pinterest, and she was like, Pinterest is so addicting. You need to be on this platform. And I was like, I really don't have time to be on Pinterest. I was double majoring in business and apparel merchandising. I was an elite swimmer, so I had practices all the time, and it was just the last thing I needed on my plate. So with a little tugs here and there, just because she wanted another friend, I joined Pinterest. So like I said, I was studying fashion merchandising when I was in college. So I was really interested in fashion apparel. I always had an eye for fashion. So I was like, I'll start pinning my fashion products onto Pinterest. Couple years later, I would say actually it was like a year later, I was growing my following very fast just because of the way that I was growing. I was posting what I loved. I was interacting with other people on the site. And you see on Pinterest a lot, you see the recipes and you see other people repinning other people's products, but a lot of people aren't creating original content. So I was one of the first original content creators for Pinterest. And I had this random idea in my head where I was like, how do bloggers make money? This was back in 2011. You had to, have 10 grand to have somebody code your own website back then. This was before Instagram. Long story short, I stumbled across affiliate marketing and I started linking my fashion pins to the affiliate pins, and I was getting paid per click and per purchase. Went to bed one night, created one pin with an affiliate link, and lo and behold, I made 50 cents. And that is when my social media marketing journey started, which was 9 years ago. It's crazy to think that it's been that long. So as I have gone about my journey, Pinterest was really the first platform that catapulted me into creating passive income. I know that's like a hush hush word around this world, but creating income while I wasn't actively posting on my computer. And that was because Pinterest was a visual search engine. So as I was going along my journey, as Instagram rolled around, Tumblr rolled around, you have all these other platforms. People are asking me, Kylie, how do you make money on social media? How do you grow your brand on social media? How do you create compelling content that makes other people not just want to follow you, but connect with you? And then that's when my consulting business was born. Here we are to this day. I know I connected with Dom on LinkedIn, doing the same exact thing on LinkedIn. And I say the same thing to everybody. Growing on social media encapsulates the same premise. I have it trademarked, the 3 keys to social media success online, which is vulnerability, visibility, and value. And what that means is that you have to show up enough and you have to give value enough consistently and daily, but not only that, support others while you are creating your own content. And that's how you really grow your business on social media. Because I know when Instagram came around, a lot of people got in that hype of, I need to be the prettiest. I have to have the Rolls Royce. I have to have the jet in order to be successful. And a lot of people chase vanity metrics and they worry so much about the number instead of creating those connections online. Because if you think about it, in order to grow your business, you need to create relationships. That's the whole reason why I'm on this podcast. If I was just chasing the number and I didn't have, if I didn't go out and connect with people, why are you on social media? So my passion is really sharing how to grow a business on social media the right way instead of, I know there's like thousands of people that think that it's almost impossible to grow or make an impact because they reflect their success with the numbers. And it has nothing to do with the numbers. Worry about how much value you give instead of the number next to your name. And that's how you grow on social media. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Yeah, it sounds like you have an awesome strategy there, and it started with that seed of that test that got you the initial 50 cents, and it seems like, your work ethic coming in from being a swimmer and these nonstop practices and meets, and you were able to then scale that and turn that into something that became your actual life plan and your vocation.
Exactly. And swimming, I always say it to people, I was like, if I wasn't a swimmer, I don't know if I would have that innate competitiveness in me. I don't think I would be able to have that discipline. And another thing swimming teaches you is that we would train hours on end all year for one meet that we would taper for all year, like double practices a day just for one meet to potentially get our best time. So how that relates to social media, it's the same thing. So what a lot of people think of is when they start on social media, they hustle. They're like, I need to do 100 posts a day. And then they just get burnt out because they spend all this time creating content because they're so excited, which is great. You want to be excited, but you need to know your end goal. You need to have a game plan. Like, okay, why am I using social media to grow brand recognition? Maybe I want to start growing my email list. Maybe I want to get more clicks to my products so I can sell them passively. Maybe I can grow my blog through utilizing Pinterest or LinkedIn or start writing blog articles. But the thing is like, I always recommend having an end goal. If you're kind of using social media for your business and you're stuck, take a step back. It's not what you do so much throughout the day. It's like having that bigger vision game plan and then breaking it down into months, weeks, and days, staying disciplined and continuing to commit to consistency. Because that's really it. No one on social media is better than anybody else. It's just there's people that decided to stay committed to their vision and their passion. And those are the people that become successful.
To me, it seems like this is a long-term thing. So you're building relationships, you're being vulnerable, you're giving value, and you're really making content that is about your audience. And so it's a long-term play that you can't expect to just plant a bunch of seeds and reap a harvest next week. It's a long-term ROI strategy.
Exactly. And even when we say long term, I don't want people to think that it takes 10 years to do this. I just so happened to start with Pinterest. I just started LinkedIn, like posting consistently about 8-9 months ago. And I would say that the followers don't matter, but I'm already upping towards 12,000 followers. So I don't want people to think that this takes that long of time. But I also never missed a day to connect with people on LinkedIn. I never missed a day to post. I reply to every single comment I get because I genuinely care about those people. And my end goal is to help businesses get their business on social media, which now more than ever, people are needing it, which is like my leads are going through the roof right now because they're finally realizing the importance of social media and just whether that just being having a brand presence or getting sales through social media. Like I said, it depends on the goal. And then you can work backwards from that. So even if you don't have a business yet and you're listening to this podcast and you're kind of like, well, I'm an employee, I don't really understand how social media would work for my business, you can still start growing your personal brand. Even if you don't have an end goal yet, just make sure that your intention is to always help people. Because if you are always a person of value, everyone will come in from all sorts of different directions, right? Because you attract who you're meant to serve when you start teaching your experience. So the opposite of what a lot of people do on social media when they start is like, how can I get 20 followers today? How can I join, 50 follow trains on LinkedIn? How can I grow my following? And it's like, what is your goal? I ask people that. They don't know. They're like, well, I think when I get more, I'm going to be famous and I'm going to get blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I call that posting and praying. So you're quite literally posting content and you're praying for a result. You post your content, you run off the platform, you come on the next day, and then all these people get so upset that they don't see the result that they made up in their head. And it's like, well, you didn't go out and you didn't support other people. Why should they come to your post if you're not out supporting them?
And being collaborative
And
with
like
them.
I said, I make it, yeah. And your intention should always be that you want to do this. This isn't like a game. I say that all the time too. People view it as a game where it's like, how many times can I, click the connect button or click the follow button? And it's more than that. We are people behind these screens, and you can see that on this podcast, right? We are all here, and it's like, how has your experience developed you into this person that can give value? When people start asking you how do I ... that's when you have the experience to deliver value on that. And then you just show up consistently and do that every single day. And that's how you grow your following authentically online. And not only that, you're going to be able to make it profitable.
One of the things that, Kylie, I think you and I were connected in your early days on LinkedIn. And, one of the things I admire is how, like you said, they're being consistent and adding value each and every day. That just provides authentic care. And then I know there's an acronym that you introduced me to about KLT. Over time, people get to know you, and they get to like you, and then they get to trust you, which is, again, just fantastic. And, often, I know this was a recent post of yours, you were talking, again, about value. And again, it's okay to put sort of your keys to the kingdom out there, because I know I hear from a lot of people saying, well, what should we post online? What should we post of value? Shouldn't we be charging for this? How do you help people understand or sort of delineate in terms of what's valuable and what they can post online, and what's okay for them to not post online and maybe charge for?
Right. So there's two different types of selling content. I have this training and it's called the 4 types of content. These are the 4 types that you should be posting on social media for your business. Educational content, which is teaching content. So you're teaching somebody how to do something. Connection content, which is me too. So it's Kylie lives in Florida, me too. Kylie swam in college, me too. It's the relatability content. Transformational content can be a mental or tangible or intangible, I should say, your journey. So that can be a mental journey where it's like, I was afraid to do this. Now this is what I learned, so I'm not afraid anymore. Or it could be like a weight loss journey. So it's like, okay, I was 300 pounds, now I'm 250, something like that. And then you have sales content. So selling content is broken down into 2 types of content, which is what you said, Dom, free versus paid content. Now, I know there's this thing, because this was me too, where it was like, if I told everyone everything that I knew, what would these people pay for? And how you distinguish between the two is what and how. What to do is free content. How to do it is paid content. So I'll give you an example. If I'm on this podcast and I'm telling you the 4 types of content with the 2 types, I'm telling you what to do. I'm telling you what types of content to post. Now, if Dom came to me and he's like, okay, well, Kylie, I understand the 4 types of content, but I'm having trouble strategizing this for my own business. I don't know how to implement this into my own business. How do I do that? That is paid content, because I'm going to have to take my time and go help Dom. So it's an energy exchange. So it's like, okay, I'm helping Dom, and in return, it's a monetary exchange. So that's how you can really distinguish the difference. Now, this is a really key note that you need to understand. If you are afraid of telling people how to do something, they're only going to see you at that level on social media. So you could be the smartest person in cybersecurity, but if you only tell people, the ABCs of it because you're scared that someone's going to, not pay for your services, they're only going to think of you at that first grade level when you could have a PhD in cybersecurity. Okay. So I don't want you guys to hold back when it comes to giving away free content. Now, I don't want you guys to also, it's not something where, another thing people get wrong about content is they think because it's longer, it's more valuable, which is not true. You can give immense value by answering one question. And that's the tip that I always give to people is if you're just starting out online and you want to give value, start by answering one question, because that is going to alleviate a lot of pressure on your end, especially with the overachievers in the crowd like me. When I first started teaching, I was like, I need to talk about everything Instagram marketing so they understand that I'm an expert. But what it does is it goes over everybody's head, because a lot of people, it's new to most people. They don't understand it. Like maybe they just open the app and they're like, how do I make a post? That's the answer you give. This is how you create a post. You can do like a bullet point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have to be 1 to 100, because you're just going to get to a point where you start overwhelming people. So remember, it's what versus how. What to do versus how to do it. You're telling people what to do. You're giving them actionable, quick wins by answering one question. Now, another question I get a lot is, well, how do I know what questions they have? Ask them. Ask your audience. Let it be simple. Ask them what they need help with. They are the ones following you in the first place. So if you answer their question, don't you think they're going to like your content? Absolutely. So it's not like we're sitting here only talking about ourselves and then we wonder why people don't like our content. And it's like, because you're not giving value to people. People want you to help them. And you do that by telling them what to do and by giving them a quick win. You can give them a quick tip. So whenever I give, 1, 2, 3, and I give a quick tip at the end of the post, I want to do that because I want people to start seeing results and gain that confidence. So if they want to start getting, a customized strategy for their business and they come to me, I'll be like, I can see that my methodologies of posting on social media and you're already on the right track. Because I think the hardest part when people start posting on social media is the mindset. It's like, I can't do this. I'm not enough. Like, what do I have to offer? And these can be the brightest people you've ever met in your life. And they still feel that sense of I'm not enough solely because of the Instagram, picture perfect. We need the Rolls Royce and like the fake photo shoots and whatever. But those people, you have to remember, followers don't mean you have $1 million business. It's not because you get to 100,000 followers, now you have a multi-million-dollar business. A lot of people are just good at creating and posting content, but they have no sales funnel underneath. They have no strategy. Their strategy is just to quite literally grow their following. So that's why you can see people that have, 5,000 followers with a super engaged following have a very successful business if they have those goals attached to their social media strategy.
Kylie, I can definitely say I've never seen Christian make so many notes during a podcast. So I think that speaks to the incredible value.
I'm in class right now. I'm taking notes like I'm back in school.
I'm glad.
Not just the value for us, but for our viewers. That's absolutely phenomenal. I know we're short on time, so Christian, I'll give you the last question.
Thank you, and I do have one. So you're helping companies. Our audience is a business audience, and you're helping them grow their business. And, I'm a real systems guy. I appreciate kind of understanding what the system is and how it works. So you're building these lead funnels, right? And you have affiliate marketing in there somewhere. What are all the components of it and how does it all fit together? Show us what the system looks like.
Yeah. So like I said, if you're a business owner and you're listening to this podcast and you're like, okay, how can I start implementing social media to make it work for my business? Like I said earlier in this podcast, you have to start out with what your goals are. Because the thing with social media is a lot of people really quickly, and it's not even their intention, just go off aimlessly, because you have to think about it. We have this news feed that's inundated with our faces with all of these other people caring about things that we shouldn't be focusing on, like the follow trains, like engagement pods, buying followers, getting all into the vanity metrics of the business. So what you should focus on is, okay, who is my target market? Where do they congregate online? That's how you pick the platform that's best for your business. So another thing people get wrong too is they're like, I just started a business, I need to go on Instagram just because it's the most popular and whatever. But the problem is, all these business owners don't know is that Instagram is a mature social media platform. Their algorithm has matured. So 3% of your following organically is seeing your content. Meaning this, just because someone follows you, that doesn't mean that they're going to see your content. Right now, LinkedIn is the platform you should be on for your business, because the algorithm is to our advantage. I had somebody like my post from 5 years ago that I forgot that I even posted, even though back then, I think a lot of people use LinkedIn like a while ago and then they're like redusting it off the shelves. That's me. But LinkedIn is the platform you want to be on for your business, especially if you're serving, even entrepreneurs are on LinkedIn as well. And you don't need to be this, cookie cutter, prim and proper person. You want to come off as professional, but don't be afraid to also show your personality and share the stories that I discussed with the 4 types of content. That'll help you break down the stories for your business, because remember, people buy off of emotion and they justify with logic. So if you're just going on LinkedIn and you think that you have to be this professional, C-suite level executive, which you can be, and that's fine, just know that not everyone's going to be able to relate to data shoved in their face 24/7, maybe because they're not in your industry, maybe they're learning more about your industry. They relate to stories. So if you have something you want to, share with the world, piece of value, you have answer one question, break it down into a story. Because if you share your personal experience and your personal stories, that's how people start to relate to you. And coming from my experience, once I started sharing more stories on LinkedIn, that's when people really understood my message. Because I think when you first start posting on social media for your business, a lot of people, I was like this too, we want to be Albert Einstein. We want to show off that we know what we're talking about. But the problem with that is that the majority of people on the internet can't relate to what you're saying, because they're at the kindergarten level. So we're at college level, they're at kindergarten. So find ways to break down the lesson by telling a story that other people can relate with. So back to your question, you want to make sure that you know your goals, you know your niche, and you know where your target market is congregating on the internet. Because remember, you can do all the things great too, but if your target market isn't on that platform, then it's kind of like the answer or the example I said with Instagram. Don't listen to this podcast and go run straight to Instagram and start an account. That's probably the worst platform that you can be on right now for your business. I'm telling you guys to go to LinkedIn. That's where the algorithm, your posts are lasting. The people on there are so super supportive. That's how I met Dom. And it's just a great supportive community. So take advantage of it while it's here. Because guess what? Algorithms change. So if you haven't started on LinkedIn, maybe you've started and you want to, up your levels of commitment, get onto that today, because there's still time, and it's less of the hustle, like I said, and it's more about consistency.
Well, you've encouraged me, because we're on LinkedIn and we're on Instagram as well, and we probably have about a 300 times bigger community on LinkedIn. So your
That's
story
perfect.
proves to be true.
Kylie, thank you so much for this. I can honestly say this is probably the most value-packed podcast we've had. I know between Christian and I, we probably have another 2 dozen questions to ask you. So you'll definitely be a future. We'll have you on again in the future. But thank you again so much for chatting
Part
with
2
us.
coming soon.
What's the best way for people to contact you or reach out to you?
Yeah, you can go to my website, kyliefrancis.com. That has all of my social media links, and I'll just leave it there because I feel like it can get messy really quickly.
Awesome. Thanks again, Kylie, so much. Be well and be safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dominic, I learned so much from this episode. As you duly noted, I was taking notes like I was back in school. The thought that I had running through my mind is that big companies and even some not so big companies are putting a huge marketing budget in. They're investing big dollars into traditional methods. And somebody like Kylie is kind of almost turning that model on its head and doing what's working. So I think, to me, what the tips that she lays out and what she offers, there's disproportional value to what she gives from a marketing perspective.
Absolutely, to me, I think what's been really great about learning some stuff from her, is that concept that people need to understand, businesses need to understand, that brands aren't built overnight. And I know you're a big proponent of using this word, but being consistent, providing valuable information, valuable thoughts and content online on a consistent basis, and showing up day in and day out over the course of just even the 6 months to a year. That's how you start building positive brand power. And it was really interesting to hear Kylie's roadmap in terms of how businesses can actually start doing that.
And as much as we talk about cybersecurity, which is the core theme, we talk about business, and we spend a lot of time on social media platforms ourselves. So it was a great learning for us, an important part of business that is even more so in the world we live in today, becoming part of how to build relationships and build a brand. So thanks for watching. You can check out our other podcasts on conversationsthatmatter.tv. Or you can find us on the YouTube channel of Conversations That Matter under the Cybersecurity Matters playlist, or you can listen to us anywhere you normally listen to your podcasts. And we will see you next week.